LPT. If you're unsure about whether to use effect or effect, use impact instead. You may sacrifice some nuance, but at least the word probably won't be flat wrong. Really loved the special impacts in that Star Wars movie. As an editor, please don't. The side impacts of this meth must be the cause of my anxiety. LPT. Learn the difference between affect and effect. AFFECT is for action. EFFECT is for end result. I always use Pokemon as a guide. A move done to Squirtle is super effective. Losing in Pokemon will affect my mood. Life amateur tip. OR. Use effect as a noun and effect as a verb. I'm not sure that will have the same impact. The meds I took has some side impacts. Shitty life pro tip. Or use the new word I invented, a effect. Or just learn, WTF. After a brief trip to Europe, he impacts a French accent. Am I doing it right? Won't that affect the nuances of my message? Special impact sounds like a blood sport for the disabled. LPT. Learn what these all mean. Specifically, affect noun, affect verb, affect noun, affect verb, and you won't need tricks that don't work for all cases to tell them apart. Deep Affect is a great movie. There are simpler and better ways to give this grammar lesson. Affect action, affect end result. Or, affect fuck around, affect find out. Or just learn the difference. My cat is super impactionate today. How about stick to words you know's good? Alternative LPT. Just take a few minutes to learn the difference. Because it isn't complicated or difficult to remember. Affect is a verb or an action word. Effect is a noun or an object word. A special effect in a movie is a thing noun. That makes effect a verb. That's the easiest way to remember it. Yeah, something to that impact. Are these words not pronounced differently? So one should know when to use which word. Effect is usually a noun, a word that describes a person, place, or thing. An affect is usually a verb, a word that describes an action. I remember it as the special effects in Star Wars had a positive affect on the movie. One could use impact so your teacher boss knows a sorry-ass grammar lacking pleb actually wrote that garbage text and didn't cheat by setting up an AI to generate it. X200B. Alternately, one can learn English grammar beyond that possessed by a 10-year-old. I don't understand how people get confused with the two. I'm a non-native English speaker and I'm able to understand the difference of the two. LPT. If you can't tell the difference between me effect and effect, go back to second grade and learn. Noun, effect. Verb, affect. Neva, forget. If my pharmacist tells me about the side impact of my meds, I'm running. Or just use ChatGPT. Effect is not a verb. Influence is also a good substitute for affect. I just remember the word affectation, which is pronounced with a hard A. Could the effect be an affectation? No? Then it's an effect. The effects of the drug noun, you affect the outcome verb. That's how I remember it. I find this topic to be highly effectful. I know I've been effectly educated. NGL. I am a master of using effect and effect properly thanks to Dungeons Dragons. The ADD books used both and I had to sort them out. Mostly magical spell effects, noting who they would affect and how. I always went with result effect and change affect. The professor who spent a week of class time in this was not happy with my alternate solution. Arcanine use flamethrower on Venusaur, it's super impactive. I know the difference and I still use impact more lol. Not sure what effect this will have. How many people will it affect? Not sure what impact this will have. How many people will it impact? English isn't my primary language, so hopefully it sounds right. Some people at my job are still misusing except and except. Affect, how the affect impacts you. Raven, remember affect verb affect noun. I always remember it as affect fuck around affect find out, not an acronym, but works for me. Thanks for this idea. The affect effect rule is one I just cannot remember. No matter how many times I look it up. Thanks, I'm going to use this. I'd way rather look like a dip saying impact versus the mental strain toll years lost its take to figure out which effect affects the affect. F you. English grammar stuff. Affect verb. Affect noun. X200b. The effect you had on her was subtle. You affected her subtly. Affect is a noun, affect is a verb. I can see the effect you're trying to achieve, but it doesn't affect me, so it's got zero impact, I am afraid. Affect current or potential. Affect after. Impact is not always a sufficient substitute for either of these words. You have no idea how much this LPT has impacted my life. I'm going down to the music store to get a new impact pedal for my guitar. Nice tip. Excellent pun. Affect is the action, effect is the result. Just remember a as in action. Affect and effect are easy now. Who and whom, on the other hand. WHAAA? How to know when it's impact and when it's impact. I do this a lot lol. But affect is used as a verb. Effect is used as a noun. Affect is usually a verb meaning to produce an effect upon. As in, the weather affected his mood. Effect is usually a noun meaning a change that results when something is done or happens. As in, computers have had a huge effect on our lives. Or just Google it and learn something. Affect is when it's an action. Effect is when it's a noun. Effect is the verb. It's the action, if you will. Something affects something else, whereas it has an effect on something. Where effect is the noun. It ain't too difficult. Unless you work for my boss, who absolutely loathes the usage of the word impact as a verb because it reminds him of his medical residency when he had to disimpact patients with medical impaction, i.e., extreme constipation needing medical intervention. In this post, people making jokes and people who are authoritatively posting oversimplified rules to the point of being wrong. Literally me yesterday. Affect is the noun and effect is the verb. Effect causes an effect. There. It's pretty straightforward. Or apply yourself and learn the very definition of each with a bit of research. Be in habit of broadening your horizons. You never stop learning in life. Your fallacy does not efficiency me, I remain whole impact. What are the main side impacts of Benadryl? IDK, I feel that strategy isn't very impactive. The affect of something caused this effect, that's how I usually remember the difference. Special effects noun. The special effects were dope. So effect must be verb. That's how I always remember it. Affect accord upon. Affect end result. Raven, remember affect verb affect noun. I think it's easier to just learn the meaning of two words. Or just use the right one. I am non-native, which might make it easier for me. Affect is a noun and effect is a verb. It just won't add up my brain to use effect as a verb. The affect causes the effect. This post was not very impactful.